This is TWiT.
But what else about Facebook? Dating. You mentioned this,
Dating, that's the big news.
and that's fun to talk about. Match is pretty upset, or maybe they're not. Publicly, they're not upset, but their stock is not doing very well.
Investors are upset.
Yeah. At the moment of the announcement, somebody next to me in the hall showed me the screen. It was down 17% in a flash.
Wow.
What's interesting to me about this, I mean, it's kind of what everybody presumed Facebook was from the beginning, and they never did it. And that's what I think it was. I think it was Chris Cox who said, everybody thought that's what we were, but we kind of never did it, and they're doing it now. The interesting thing to me is that Facebook has been strictly focusing on introducing you to people connecting you to people you know. Mm-hmm. And this is an effort to connect you with people you don't know. And at the dating level, and they also say that they want meaningful relationships. So they said, what is more meaningful than, getting married to somebody, falling in love with somebody, getting married? And they said, this is not for hooking up. This is for relationships. But that idea of connecting to people you don't know, I've said on the show many, many times that what I hope for Facebook is it starts to make strangers less strange. If this is the start of a new expertise in an area that's fairly safe and well trod, I think it's interesting. Now, of course, on the internet, everybody's, oh my God, privacy, Facebook. The world knows how to do dating, I think, in lots of ways and newspapers used to do it for years, where I don't think privacy is trod upon. They're thinking this through where your friends will not see your profile. Only people you allow to see your profile will see your profile. The transaction is obvious. I think this function is obvious. And plus they can tie it into things like groups and interests, and it becomes a lot richer. Now that presumes that interests are the right way to find somebody. It could be that, because right now, in my day, how did you do it? We happen to like the same bar, So what are the commonalities that will bring people together for a meaningful relationship? And are they on Facebook? Really interesting to me.
I wonder if this... I wonder if this increases the filter bubble in a sense. Like, dating is one area where and it's been a long time since I've dated, so let's say that.
None of us can play with this.
I know. I'm like, I could, but I think my husband would be upset. So
yeah.
It's an idea where you actually you meet someone without knowing all that much about them, and then you go in and you encounter these bumps in the road where you're like, oh my God, this person voted for Trump. Could I really date someone who voted for Trump? But that presumably wouldn't happen on Facebook, but it's kind of that's kind of the interesting part about dating, or the human part about dating.
Is whether you find other interests that tie you together. I think that's the secret to civility is going to be when we get off the Trump v. Clinton world and start to say, oh, we both like surfing, and we like literature, we like other things, and find other commonalities. That's potential. By the way, so this is going to be image free for security at the start. At some point, you obviously connect and meet each other and see each other. But at the first, this is not about doing the origins of Facebook and the lookbook.
I wonder if they'll get guys.
Not Tinder.
That's an interesting. Like, I can imagine women being like hot diggity. So I guess guys will go where the women are. But that's an intriguing option.
It's really interesting, isn't it? So you'll have a profile, right? But you can put whatever you want in profile. You can put your cartoon avatar in there, your Oculus avatar. Who knows? But you won't be sending back porny pictures or anything. You'll be talking.
Okay, people will still send back porny pictures.
Sure,
eventually.
I'm married.
There's going to be ASCII. There's going to be ASCII porn. I mean, there was in the text days. Someone will just
highly realistic ASCII porn. Yeah.
But I have to say, I don't really see this as having a chance in hell of succeeding. I think this is going to be one of those things that 6 months from now, Facebook is going to shut it down, and it'll die without a ripple. I just don't see. This is a company that everyone is talking about privacy and their data. So now they're going to
everyone, Matthew, everyone, or just us in media? Everyone.
No, everyone.
Lots of people I talk to mention it. Normal people, civilians. And so now they're going to think, you know what I should do? I should give Facebook a lot of dating information and, my sexual proclivities or something or whatever. Is this information that people are going to want to share with Facebook? I don't think so. Plus, Match.com and those things are perfectly successful. What
I'm intrigued by putting sexual proclivities on your dating profile, Matthew. That seems real forward.
Yeah.
As a user, how much of creating that profile that exists outside of your friend's profile, like, do you build that from the ground up?
Yeah, you build that yourself. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what you're doing. And of course, there's a big age problem here, is because when I was young and single, the only thing you could do then was personals ads in the New York Review of Books if you were snotty and intellectual, right? And there was no such structure. And young people today, couple after couple, how did you meet? Online.
Right.
There was a stigma about that in the time that went away like that. I talked to a woman some years ago who spent 7 years in Japan, and then she came and she did a great blog about being single, and then she came back to the U.S. and she was just gobsmacked about how suddenly that which had cooties before was now the way to date, and it changed it. Because when I was involved in Condé Nast and Bridal, yes, I was. What I learned was that the audience for those kinds of things spins out very quickly. So the norm can change very quickly. So when we owned Brides and Modern Bride and Elegant Bride, we thought we owned Bridal. Along came The Knot, and they stole the market because they had new functionality in a new way. So Matthew, I think it depends strictly on how smart they are and what they add. People may not like going through Match, or may not like going through these services and paying for them, by the way, was the point. Now they can do it in a place where they already have some comfort and some other content.
Well, the key to something like Match, according to, their commercials, is how well they can actually connect people. In Facebook, what will be interesting is how much of the iceberg you actually create versus what Facebook uses to match you to someone. Because I may say all kinds of things in my dating profile, but Facebook knows who I really am.
Yeah, it's true.
To a certain extent. Mm-hmm. And if it finds people based on that versus just what I put on there, then it becomes really interesting. And if people do meet their life partners or whatever in these things, it's compelling. People will use it.
But there's going to be lots of people who don't want that. Like, there's going to be lots of people.
Well, those people don't have to sign up.
They don't have to opt in. Yeah, they don't opt in.
Yeah, I just think those are going to be the majority of the market. I don't think Facebook. It strikes me every time Facebook tries to launch. I saw a list of the things that it has tried that have failed. Remember, it had a Groupon clone. It had. There's a long list, and I think every time they try and sort of target a vertical like this, it seems to fail because people, I think, want to go to a site or a service that's dedicated to that thing. They don't want to mix it all in with the other stuff they do on Facebook.
However, what's different with this versus something like a Groupon clone, and we could talk about the many different avenues that Facebook makes money. That might be one way, but when you're talking about Facebook at its core, relationships is like its biggest selling point, and this is a very major other aspect of the relationships that we as human beings enjoy on a daily basis. So from that perspective, it kind of makes sense to me that they might actually be really good at this. If they're not using the wide range of information that they've been gathering on users over the course of however many years to help inform how those matchups happening, then I think they're doing it wrong, from their perspective, because that's the power of the Facebook network.
Yeah, the problem will be, obviously, that is where the privacy is could bite them.
Right.
Is if how did it know that I'm a foot fetishist like you are? Right. When did we reveal that?
Right.
By the way, I'm not. But yeah, those moments when you don't know what's going to come out. So how do they fence off that? But on the other hand, it becomes really interesting. With enough data, they could make better, longer-lasting marriages.
Right.
Well, and we don't know what it'll be, why that is, but they could find that AI.
And we might just inherently distrust them, rather. We might be like, oh my gosh, you like weird esoteric thing, and I like weird. Facebook, what kind of shenanigans are you pulling? Right. When it's really just natural. Because there's a name for this when you think about something and then you see it everywhere. So once you're suspicious, you're going to assume the worst. Or maybe just we will.
What is the name for that?
Carson knows. He's scrambling.
That is the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Yes.
Now you'll notice that in all media for the
you'll see Bader-Meinhof everywhere.
And it's a big reason why many people probably think that Facebook is recording them through the microphone and then surfacing ads. It's just like once you clue in, you see it. You see patterns.
I was talking about this, and then Facebook showed me an ad. I don't know. I've had that conversation. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
Yes.